We're going to continue on with the special formulas, and we're going to look at the fourth and fifth of the special formulas at this point in time. And the fourth one is called the difference of two perfect cubes. So what it looks like is we have a different sign again. There are two numbers, and each one is a different perfect cube. So we really need to be aware of what our list of perfect cubes are and have that handy reference for us mentally. That actually factors for now, let's just say, as a binomial times a trinomial, and we'll look at the details in a moment. Our fifth special formula is the sum of two perfect cubes, and we are adding two numbers that are both perfect cubes. Again, it factors as a binomial times a trinomial, and we'll get to the particulars of that in a moment. So if we're going to use these formulas, there must be four criteria. One, first of all, the polynomial is a binomial, meaning that there are, of course, two terms. And that checks out in this particular case. Second, the first term needs to be a perfect cube. Some number times itself 3 times. Third, the last term has to be a perfect cube. And then fourth, it doesn't matter whether they're added or subtracted. That's what we're looking at, and that will be either one of these two formulas. So let's continue on. Once you know that it's one of these two formulas, the sum or difference of two perfect cubes, your answer is again a binomial times a trinomial. To find the binomial, you're going to take the cube root of the first two terms and then use the sign of the original problem. So let's look at that. A cubed, what times itself 3 times is a cubed? Well, that's a. B cubed, what times itself 3 times is b to the third? Well, that's b. And we use the sign of the original problem in our binomial. We'll come to how we get to the trinomial in a moment. And again, whether it's positive, the cube root of a to the third is a. The cube root of b to the third is b. And we're using the same sign in our binomial as we had in our original problem. So there's the difference in sum of two perfect cubes, finding the binomial portion. Let's address the trinomial. To find the trinomial, you start with the binomial. And from there, you're going to do a couple of things. You're going to take this first term and square it. You're going to multiply the two terms and take its opposite. Then you're going to take the last term, including its sign, and square it. So let's look at that in a little bit more detail. We're going to take the first term and square it. So a times a is a squared. You're going to multiply the two terms and take the opposite. So that would be a times negative b is negative ab, but taking the opposite, we want positive ab. In this case, we would multiply them. A times b is positive ab, but taking the opposite is negative ab. And then we're going to take the last term, including its sign, and square it. So negative b times negative b is positive b squared. Positive b times positive b is positive b squared. So let's look at an example. Looks like we have the difference of two numbers, and we'll have to check to see if they're both perfect cubes, which they are. What times itself 3 times is y to the third? That's y to the first. What times itself 3 times is 1? That is also 1. So there's the binomial, y minus 1. To find the trinomial, we're going to take the binomial and refer to it and do a few things. So we're going to take the first term and square it. We're going to multiply those two numbers. So negative 1 times y is negative y. And take the opposites of the sign. And then we're going to take the last term, including its sign, and square it. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Let's look at another example. Looks to me like it might be in the form, so let's take the cube root of the first term. What times itself 3 times is 8? Well, that's 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. What times itself 3 times is u to the third? Well, that's u times u, or just u. The cube root of v to the third is v, and we take the same sign, and that gives us the binomial. Now we need to try to find the trinomial, and we do several things to it. So we're going to take this first term and we're going to square it. 2u times 2u is 4u squared. We're going to multiply those two numbers together and take its opposite. So 2u times v is positive 2uv. Taking the opposite is negative 2uv. We're going to take the last term, including its sign, and square it. So plus v times positive v is positive v squared. All right, and actually, we're going to hold on this lesson just on these two formulas, the sum and difference of two perfect cubes. We'll pick up some more of the lecture a little bit later.